What is up, W Sports Podcast? Jimothy and Tubby are back with our divisional breakdown 2.0 as we take on the AL and the NL Central divisions today. But Tubby, man, welcome back to the show.
What's up? Yep, it's baseball time. Talk some more baseball.
Talking more baseball. Yeah, I'm just waiting. Finally, tomorrow the Cardinals will be actually available to watch. Like, none of their games have been streamable. I can't watch it on MLB.tv. I can't watch them, find them anywhere. I can't even find highlights outside of like the main ones they give me. So tomorrow it all changes. And today's game against the Yankees, it changed too.
Nice.
So happy about that. Tubby, how you feeling about your Dodgers so far in the spring training?
I mean, guys are starting to get hot right at the end of spring training, which is good, showing that they're starting to get into the groove. So, I mean, don't try to take too much away from spring training, but hey, if they're starting to build things up towards the back end, I like that because it means they're starting to get into that swing of baseball.
Yeah. No. By the way, Cardinals bats still haven't really heated up yet, so we're going to see what happens. Who knows? But we're going to get into it today because, like I said before at the top of the show, we're going to talk about the AL and the NL Central. Two very different divisions right now as you look at it, the way these things are going, even though a couple years ago, these two divisions almost were identical. But we're going to start like we did last week. We're going to start with the AL. We're going to do it one word to describe that team, and then we're going to do why we're describing it that way. So we did in the last episode. If you missed the last one, go back and watch it on YouTube. You can download it wherever you're downloading your podcasts. That's what the W Sports Pod is. And this one will also be on our podcast as well. So you can take it with you on the road. Now, Tubby, we're going to start with the worst team in the history of all baseball last year. We had the Chicago White Sox at 41 and 121 losses last year. Enough losses that fans boo when you win. I'm just saying. So what is the word to describe the White Sox this season?
I described it as, yeah.
That's at least 4 E's and 3 H's.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's not much to talk about this team. It's going to be another dumpster fire of a season. I think there's one thing that could potentially put some people in the seats outside of just loving baseball, and that's the potential that maybe Colson Montgomery is on the opening day roster, their top prospect. Other than that, not much to be excited about.
Yeah, you got to wonder if Luis Robert stays healthy. Robert, or however you want to say his name. They still have Tachman, right? Joey Gallo, by the way. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw
Joey
that.
Gallo there. This rotation is absolutely terrible. In compare, it's just the one word I wanted to use was up because it can only go up. There's no way this team loses 120 games. There's no way. It's just so challenging to lose that many games. So I think this year, yes, they lose 100 games, but it would be weird to look at this team and say, I could see a 10-win improvement.
I mean, I guess if there's a team in baseball right now that could potentially do worse than the worst ever, it would be the White Sox.
Right.
I mean, you just look at that team and you're just like, I don't even know where we're going from here.
Yeah, I almost used the word 30 because I think they'll be ranked 30 in a lot of categories.
Yes, definitely.
So, all right, well, let's go ahead and move on. There's not a whole lot to talk about with that team. I'm really sorry. We talked about this last season at the beginning of the year. The Chicago White Sox are historically one of the worst franchises with the opportunity to make the playoffs in the history of sports or baseball. It's just they're terrible. So This is going to be another year. This is a division. They were the only team last year to finish below 500. There's a good reason why, because everybody else in that division got to play them quite a bit. But the Twins were 82 and 80. What do you think the word is for them, Tubby?
I'm going to go with injuries. Can they get past that injury bug with their top players? Carlos Correa has a history of injuries. Byron Buxton, history of injuries. Royce Lewis, history of injuries. Can they get past that bug? Because once I looked at it a little bit more, yeah, they haven't done a whole lot this offseason, but the potential is there if they can stay healthy. I mean, Correa had a great year, even though he was in and out on the field. Same thing with Royce Lewis. Royce Lewis, when he was playing, was one of the best players in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just
when
the fact that, that's the thing, is when he's playing. Because the rotation, I think, has a lot of potential. I love Jorge Lopez. I think, really improved last year. Joe Ryan, if he's healthy, he's a really good number 2, number 3. And I'm a really big fan of Simeon Woods Richardson. I think that he's a kind of up-and-coming young pitcher. And then you look at the bullpen. Johan Duran is one of the best closers in baseball, and they
Hmm.
always have a good bullpen, and then also Duran has one of the coolest walkouts that I've seen in baseball. But other than that, I think that if they can sustain, you know, kick that injury bug a little bit, they could definitely, I think, challenge for this division.
This is the biggest injury bug I think in baseball is with Royce Lewis and
Yeah.
you mentioned him as well, Byron Buxton, even Carlos Correa in the past. That is the
Hmm.
hardest part. This is a seasoned team that
Yeah.
last year was able to get 82 wins. I'm just saying the word is steady. Like I expect almost the same this year. Now, like you mentioned, if those injuries do stay down and they stay healthy, I think this is a team that you could push to 90 wins. But
Hmm.
I think that, but you look at the difference. It's a steady team, regardless. It looks like anywhere from 80 to 90 wins. And that's the difference between playoffs and maybe even a deep playoff run or not. But the
Hmm.
last year was good enough for fourth in the division because we had the Kansas City Royals, who had one of the best turnarounds in in just 1 year, year over year. With 86 and 76, they tied with the Tigers for second in the division. We're going to go to them next. What is the word?
Improved. I think they got better this offseason.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about them a couple years ago. We're like, man, they could potentially make that run, and they
Yeah.
didn't quite make it. And we weren't expecting it last year because some of those younger players just really didn't take that leap forward that we expected. Well, last year those young players finally kind of took that leap forward. We
Hmm.
knew what Bobby Witt was, but you had guys like Pascatino and Melendez and
Hmm.
Massey, some of these younger guys that you're like, man, if they can just figure something out, the offense could potentially get there. And then you go and add a guy like Jonathan India, who I think is a great, can play all over the infield, first, second, third, short, a steady bat when he's healthy. And then you kind of even address the bullpen, going out and getting Estevez, and then you get Hunter Harvey, who's always been a really good, consistent bullpen arm back from injury. I think
Hmm.
that they improved this offseason because they were able to keep those guys that had big seasons last year, Lugo and, Waka, those guys that, really kind of surprised some people when they signed them and they're like, well, we'll see. And Lugo, I mean, last year was incredible for them. It was a great signing. So I think this team has gotten better this year.
No, I agree. I would like to point out, I think this is a team, and I'm going to give you the word here in just a second. This is a team that looks like they could go out and sign a veteran pitcher if because
Mhm.
Bubic right now is listed as their fifth
Yeah.
starter, which I don't like. He was much more successful in the bullpen. Maybe this is one of those transitions that happens and he goes as he goes back and it works out. I'm a little nervous about that. I think there's part of the order like Michael Massey is not going to be a power bat, but Hunter
Mhm.
Renfroe has to stay healthy and play like he was supposed to. Then
Yeah.
I think that really beefs up the middle of that lineup because the bottom half they're going to run, they're going to sprint. So I think the word that I have here is 2014. I'm not saying they're making the World Series, but in 2013 we saw an 86 and 76 win team, and they took that step up with a lot of that in
Mhm.
inside talent, if you will.
Yeah.
And I see that this year. They made a couple small tweaks in the offseason, but they retained Michael Walker, they retained Michael Lorenzen. I like both of
Mhm.
those. Even on with Lorenzen on the 1 year deal, this is a team that look at it. I think they're going to compete for a division title and a
Yeah.
deep playoff run.
Yeah, I agree. I think this team is, like you said, I think they're very much improved, and I don't think people are giving them enough credit for what they did this offseason.
Now, which is probably the way the Royals want it. Just get a
Yeah,
little bit under the radar right now.
yeah.
Um, and we're going to move on to the Detroit Tigers. Last year, again, 86 and 76, a big improvement. Didn't have some of the rising stars that they expected to. Obviously, Spencer
Hmm.
Torkelson, he's back on the roster, but he's not playing first base anymore, as that
Yeah.
has gone to Colt Keith. So, Tubby, I got to know what's the word for the Tigers?
Upward. I think this team's on upward trajectory. I think they have one of the more sneaky rotations in baseball. You get Scooble, Cy Young
Hey,
Award winner last year. You get Flaherty back. Reese Olson, when
that's
early
it.
on in the
Yeah.
season, was really good. Casey Mize, I think, kind of took a step forward.
Hmm.
Kenta Maeda is a great, fifth
Grade
guy.
five.
Yeah, that has had a lot of experience. And
Hmm.
even if he gets hurt, you've got a couple of guys like Jackson Jobe, who's chomping on the bit to be in that rotation because the kid has all the talent, if not, maybe the top, you know, prospect pitcher in my mind. That's not that's considered a
Hmm.
prospect because I mean you still got Paul Skeens and all that stuff, but I think this team is on the upward trajectory, and this is a team that could make a deep playoff run.
Well, give me the weak spot for this team, though.
It's for me, it's going to be. I mean, the bullpen isn't great, but I think that you can always improve the bullpen throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's going to be the bottom half of the order. Can some of these guys, pick up? I mean, like we expected Torkelson after the end he had to the 2023 season. We expected him to take that into 2024, and all he did was disappoint and ended up back in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
They're going to need him to step up. They're going to need some of these younger guys to, boost some things. They don't have a whole lot of power on this team, and that's going to be the thing. Can they find some power elsewhere that weren't quite there, because they've got a lot of young guys that I like that are just kind of not that top tier, but you're just the steady, good young players like you mentioned with Colt Key. I really love Riley Green. I think what he can do is he can do everything on the field. He's close to a 5-tool player when it comes to hitting, running, defense, all that. It's just, can those other younger guys that they have, take that step forward and boost that offense a little bit more is going to be the question.
Yeah, I think for me, the bullpen is the weak point. But like you said, it's the most volatile thing in all of baseball. I think you can piece this together, even within in-house additions or with in-season trades and stuff like that. So I'm not going to – my word for this team is it's time. It's time to make the push and to make the leap. This should be a team that talent-wise should be competing for this division at the end of the year. Whereas last year, again, 6 games back. If they're 6 games back at the end of this year, I think you'd say it's a step back outside of massive injuries. It's time to go and win this division. This is a team that's very homegrown as well, like the Royals. They should have they have the tools. Kerry Carpenter, love Kerry Carpenter. I think he's a great baseball player. Good for that ballpark, too, because he's such a doubles guy. Like you said, they don't have a whole lot of power, partially because it's Detroit.
Yeah, that is a big part of it.
All right, we're going to move on to last year's division winner, Cleveland Guardians. They went 92 and 69 last year. They didn't have to play that last game as a makeup, so that's why their record is a little bit odd, if you're wondering. What's the word?
I put one in. I put two. I put who else? Question is, there's some questions in the rotation. Who else outside of Tanner Beebe and Gavin Williams can you count on? And then also you look at the offensive side. You traded Josh Naylor. You traded your second best bat. When it comes to run production and home runs, who else outside of Jose Ramirez is going to be able to drive in those runs is going to be the big question. I mean, we know Stephen Kwan is going to get on base and he's going to do what he does, but he's not going to have those power numbers. He's not going to have those RBI numbers. So who else outside of Jose Ramirez is going to produce on this offense?
Yeah, I see that as well. This is a team that's going to be really good at pitching. I think you look at that. I like Lane Thomas on this team. I think he can, if he can stay healthy, he could be that guy. I don't like the Carlos Santana as the heart of the order guy. I get the signing, right? But I'm not a huge I think this team should win 88 games or so, the same range that they had last year. But if I'm going to pick one word, it's Jose. So as in Jose. That's what it is. He is going to be the heart and soul of this team. And if Stephen Kwan is getting on, Jose Ramirez is hitting people around. At the very least, they're scoring 3 runs a game. And we'll see what that pitching can do to shut teams down.
Yeah, I mean, I have questions with the rotation. I'm not huge on the other guys. I mean, I've been highly disappointed with Tristan McKenzie over the last couple of years. The very end of the 2023 season, I thought it is kind of along the same lines of Spencer Torkelson, where I thought he was going to take that leap forward and be a front of the line guy. We saw the stuff in the second half of that season, and injuries hurt him a lot last year, but the rest of the rotation, I got some questions about. I mean, we know the bullpen's going to be good, but it's going to come down to offense outside of Jose Ramirez, and then the pitchers outside of Gavin and Beebe.
So let me ask you this: predict the division. Who's winning the thing? You can go from bottom up or top down.
So I got Detroit winning the division. I think Detroit comes out and wins. I think they finally take that step forward and win this division. And I've got Kansas City too. I think that, like we talked about, they improved. I like the upward trajectory of these young guys that we saw last year. I think they're going to continue to improve. I think they improved the bullpen. And then I've got Cleveland, Minnesota, and then, of course, the White Sox.
Yeah, the only two that I flipped was the Royals. I think the Royals get it this year. Just because I like a little bit more of the offense, and I do
Mhm.
expect Hunter Renfroe to be better than what he was last year. But give me them, Tigers, Guardians, Twins, and then White Sox. And now we're on to the sad division, the NL Central. Last year's winner was 93 games with the Brewers, but the Pirates are the worst team at 76 wins. But there's a lot of jumbled, a lot just
Mhm.
packed in there. Somehow the Cardinals and Cubs, the tumultuous seasons that those two teams had, somehow they had the same record, which is wild. But we're going to start with none other than the Pittsburgh Pirates. Tubby, what's the word?
Maybe.
Okay,
Maybe if
maybe.
the offense, I think they have the makeup of a good rotation. You got Paul Skeens, who is after one season one of the best pitchers in baseball. We saw, you go look at the advanced metrics and stuff that he put up
Hmm.
last year. You could argue that maybe outside of Tariq Skubal, he was the most dominant pitcher in baseball. I
Hmm.
mean, you go look at, it was WAR plus and stuff like that. The dude was incredible,
Hmm.
and I think that was his rookie season. He's going to get better this year.
Hmm.
And I don't know what the MLB is going to do once he gets better, but watch out. Uh, I think if the offensive can somewhat keep pace with the potential of this rotation, I think that you can maybe make a run at the division,
Yeah.
because it is such, it is a weak division. And
Hmm.
I like I said, I mentioned Skeens. Mitch Keller had a very poor second half of the season. He started out incredible last year. I like what I saw from Jones, from here and there. I think he has a chance to improve. And then you got a guy down in the minor leagues named Bubba Chandler. I think that he can come in and be another starting pitcher, young starting pitcher that could really bolster that rotation. It's just going to come down to the guys like O'Neill Cruz coming back from injury. Can Brian Hayes figure something out? I mean, he's just a defensive guy. He's got to find some
Yeah.
offense somewhere. It's going to be, can the offense stay pace with the
Yeah.
the pitching?
So far, this is the worst projected offensive team that we have broken down.
Mm-hmm.
They have
Yeah.
only three guys in their starting nine that have a weighted what is it? Weighted RXC or RC plus
Mm-hmm.
over 100. 100 would be average. They have three, and they have two guys that are below 90. It's just not looking good.
Yeah.
To me, this team right here at best is Seattle? Question mark. Like
Yeah.
that's what I see. The pitching is just so good, and they have a
Yeah.
couple nice pieces on the offensive side, but I don't think they have
Mm-hmm.
enough to really take that step. And you're like, and so I almost chose the word was come on, like please. With the O'Neill Cruz, Brian Reynolds, even Tommy Pham is a good baseball player as far as it goes to this.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew McCutcheon, Joey Bart, like there are good players. Key Brian Hayes, I think we know he's a glove first, third baseman. He's never going to be that bat that they want him to be. But
Yeah.
then, like you said, the rotation, it's just, I want to drool over this team. It's just but I don't think they can keep it up. It's
Yeah.
so sad. Come on.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, let's move on to the Cincinnati Reds. Everyone, they are a hot team right now for people picking
Mm-hmm.
sleeper team, whatever you want to say. People love it right now. Obviously, with Elodie de la Cruz, um, Gavin Lux there now. I mean, lots of little pieces here. But what say you? What's the word?
Finally, is this finally the season they put it all together with the young talent they have? I think it is. I'm
All right.
on the I'm on the bus right now. I'm getting ready to pull the cord just in case to stop the bus, but you get Matt McLean back this year, who missed all last season. Matt McLean was incredible his rookie year. I think if Ellie can, cut down on the swing and misses, you got so many young offensive players that this offense could be just dynamic
Mm-hmm.
if they're able to put it together. I liked what they did in the offseason. Hunter Green for me took a big step forward last year. You go out and get Brady Singer, you get Nick Lodolo back for the full season.
Mm-hmm.
I think the rotation could be good, and you got two young pitchers down in the minor leagues. We saw Rhett Lauder come up last year, and 3 or 4 starts and look like a top 10 pick that he was.
Mm-hmm.
And then you turn around and drafted Chase Burns this year too. You've got two Wake Forest pitchers in your minor league system that could come in and just make this rotation even better. I think this is finally the season we see it all come together.
Yeah, I think if I was going to choose a word, partially because of the hype, but I think it's red hot is what it should be for this team. They have the doors open. Are you going to run through it or not? Like for
Yep.
all the reasons that you said, I think some of the one piece I wish that they would address, honestly, is their DH spot. I get Jake Fraley is kind of that fourth outfielder, but
Hmm.
just imagine this lineup with one more bat in that
Yep.
spot in the lineup. Go make there's not a whole lot right now, but I think that could be a piece you'll see them look to address in the towards the deadline, just because some of the pieces. Will Benson has a lot of talent. The dude swings and
Hmm.
misses at so many
Yeah.
pitches, and so right now it's almost like a guaranteed out. But it's got a lot of
Yeah.
power in Great American Small Park. So
Yeah.
red hot. Let's go. It's time.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right. Now let's talk about the stupid Cardinals. Sorry, that just slipped out. Tell me what's the word for last year's 83-79 win team of the Cardinals?
Restart. Time to hit the restart button. I, I I think they just need a clean house all around. When it comes to manager, upper management. I know Zaylock was after this year or next year he's stepping down, whatever. But I think it's time for them just kind of cut ties with a lot of players that they have. The pitching staff. Get rid of Michaelis. Get rid of
Dude,
Eric Fetty. These Steven Matz. Just kind of trade them. Trade Nolan Arenado. Get rid of some of these guys.
they've tried to
Give
trade
these
these guys.
Yes,
No one's
yes.
biting.
But I mean, at some point, you just kind of have to cut ties at some point. And you've got some really good young pitching down in the minor leagues, and Team
Mm-hmm.
Kitts, Sean Robersy, and Quinn Matthews that I think
Mm-hmm.
deserve a shot. I mean, give them a chance because it can't. Yeah, it can be worse, but if we're looking at projection wise, you're probably the worst team in this division this year. If things go wildly wrong, like they very well could happen with the outside of Sonny Gray, I don't have much hope for this rotation.
You don't like Vetty?
He couldn't stay healthy last year. He had one good year in his career, and they signed him, got it for a good
Yeah.
a good deal. But the rest of, I mean, I just can't. You can't count on him.
Yeah, I saw Palante today. He started against the Yankees, and he gave up a home run. I was like, where was that pitch? It was a sinker. Piped it right down the middle. He's been watching Miles Michaelis too much. It was terrible. I think offensively, this team, the Cardinals have to choose between do you go with the glove or the bat, and I think
Mhm.
this is the season. Go with the bat.
Yeah.
Go with the bat. Get Gorman. Get him out there. He hit a home run today, and you look at his swing. He didn't open up his swing, and he stayed with it, so that was better. Jordan Walker, a little tweaked, so he hasn't been healthy a whole lot. Burleson reminds me of a left-handed only Lance Berkman style of bat to ball skills.
Yeah.
Herrera is a really good offensive catcher. That's who's projected to be their bottom four in the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this team, their offense, for the record, 0 players are projected to be below 101 on the WRC plus. So just the night and day difference. The problem is their starting pitching is not that great right now. And they don't strike out a lot of guys. So this is a
Mm-hmm.
team that has to keep the ball in the house. So if you go bat first lineup, guess what you're not doing? You're not getting a Michael Ciani. You're not getting a Victor Scott in the outfield. You're getting Jordan Walker, who's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nolar's Newbar, maybe Brandon Donovan. So you're limiting the range. It isn't a
Yeah.
recipe for anything but mediocre at best.
Yeah.
So my word, did I already say a word?
Huh.
Mediocre.
Yeah.
At best, if you can give me a phrase, just because they're split between two things right now. I think this time next year they'll have a clear definition of where they're going, whether both Nolans are gone,
Yeah.
because they got Thomas JC who could be coming up, and
Yeah.
he looks like he's ready to take that leap. So we'll
Mm-hmm.
see. I do want to see Ivan Herrera. This is a Cardinals take. I want to see him in the lineup much more than Pedro Pajes. Give me the
Yeah.
bat for him.
Yeah.
So sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah. All right. Cubs. What's the word for the Cubs?
Overhyped.
Ooh, okay. All right.
I think too many people are putting too much stock into the Cubs right now. There's a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, this team is legit. I don't see it personally. I love the Tucker move, but I don't know if they still. I haven't seen. Have they even extended the guy after you traded for him? It doesn't make sense to me when he's going to be a free agent after this year. The rotation, I think, has a lot of questions in it. You get Justin Steele back this year, but he's had one good year in his career. and then's been hurt every other year.
Mm-hmm.
How much more does Jamison Tyon and Matthew Boyd have? Uh, can Rhea replicate anything that he had last year for the Brewers? I don't see a whole lot here. I think their bullpen is sneaky good, a really sneaky good bullpen, but
Yeah.
I just don't. I have a feeling they're just going to do what the Cubs do and just disappoint.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 85. If that's a word. That's the number I expect them to win. 85 games, and that honestly might be enough to win the division. It also might be enough to disappointingly miss everything on this division.
Mm-hmm.
The offense, there's not like Kyle Tucker's really good,
Mm-hmm.
but I wonder who are you not wanting to throw to? Because the best lineups in baseball have
Yeah.
at least one guy, or if you're the Dodgers, a whole lineup, or you don't want to throw the ball to. Like you don't want to. They
Yeah.
always come up every single high pressure situation. Where I mean, honestly, even Dansby Swanson, who did bounce back in the second half last year,
Yeah.
is it him? Is it Suzuki, or is it Kyle Tucker? Who is it? Ian Happ, if you're a Cardinal, sure, but
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
No. For sure. They don't have that. You know, one big bat. I mean, I love Kyle Tucker. I like that he's kind of like a all around player, really good defender, good legs, can throw, hit the ball. But like you said, he doesn't just strike that fear into you. Like you're like, oh man, Kyle Tucker's
Hmm.
up with two on. Is he about to hit a bomb on us or something? I just think that too many people are hyping this team up right now with the big questions in the rotation. And like you said, they have some good offensive weapons, but are they really, feared?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to our final team. We have the Milwaukee Brewers, who last year won 93 games. What do you got, Tubby?
Uninspired.
Yeah.
I just I thought last year they were going to fall off after the trades and the injuries
Hmm.
and stuff like that. I can't get behind this team this year. I don't think they're going to sneak up on people like they did last year. They've got some good young talent. I'm not going to question that. They've got some good young bats.
Hmm.
The one weird thing for Milwaukee, which is something that they always have, is pitching, and I'm just not inspired by the starting rotation for this team. When you throw out guys like Tobias Myers, I'm not big on Nestor Cortez. We've seen him over the last couple
Yeah,
of
you
years.
never
Just
have been.
yeah, Aaron Savali, the trade that didn't work out for them, and then Jose Quintana, who's old. Can he keep pitching like Jose Quintana over the last couple of years, where he's been a good solid pitcher? At some point it's just going to be gone, where you're not going to be able to do that. So I have some questions. And then on top of that, you traded the best closer in baseball and got Nestor Cortez back for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like Jose Quintana. I think for a fifth, he might be one of the best, one of the top tier fifth SP5s. We'll put it that way. He
Mm-hmm.
just goes out there, he competes all the time. I'm honestly, I think I'm going to answer this as if I were a Milwaukee Brewer fan, which I will never be. I actually do not like the Brewers at all,
Mm-hmm.
probably because they're division with the Cardinals. It would be frustrated. I'm so frustrated. It's like this team is apathetic to the fact that we'll probably win 90 games. Now, I don't think they
Mm-hmm.
will this year, but we'll probably win 90 games, and then hopefully we get hot at the right time, like the Diamondbacks did 2 years ago, or like the Phillies did the year before, or the
Mm-hmm.
Braves did the year before. And it's just a frustrating recipe, I think, if you're a baseball fan, because this is a very winnable division. And if they
Yeah.
do make some of the right moves, and they don't have a whole lot of money, I get that,
Mm-hmm.
but they've been able to put pieces together, and it's just frustrating.
Yeah.
So, but as a Cardinal fan, sure, take him down. Yeah. All right, Tubby. Pick the division. You can go top down or bottom up. What do you got?
I got Cincinnati winning it this year. I think that said I think this is finally the season they do it. I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Brewers, but I don't think they make the playoffs this year. I think they'll have somewhere around 84 wins or so. I just don't like the rotation. I'm going to go Pittsburgh next. I think Pittsburgh has a chance if they can find some offense, maybe make some trades. I don't know, but find some offense. You have a chance with this rotation. Then I'm going to go Cubs. Then I'm going to go Cardinals.
Wow. Cellar dweller Cardinals. I don't like that. I would say this, like, I think the reality, there's 5 teams. I think you could see 5 games separate the top to the bottom. It's going to be
Yeah.
chaos, and at least it's going to be one good division race. I would imagine towards the end of the year, where last year it was 10 games that separated it. So I just
Mm-hmm.
think it's going to be a lot closer this year. I don't want to say. I would say Brewers, Cubs, Reds, Cardinals, Pirates. I'm just not trusting the Pirates, and a lot of this will defend. Maybe the Cardinals
Hmm.
clean house at the deadline, and they say we're going to go 70-win team and see what we go from there. I could see that too,
Yeah.
but I don't trust the Reds yet. So to me, the Reds are just a really, really poor man's version of the Mets.
Yeah. I mean, but the crazy thing is at the end of the season with this division, honestly, I think you could look at any of these teams and go, yeah, they could win because
Yeah.
it's not. There's not one team that is leaps and bounds ahead of every other team.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It's a jumbled mess. A team that's it's a bunch of GMs that are like, I look at the competition and I'm just trying to win a division here. I could do that with
Yeah.
86. I'm fine with
Yeah.
that. You're like, dude, come on. So maybe bullpen is going to matter a whole lot. I don't know. We're going to see. Guys, we hope that you've enjoyed this show so far. We do have the AL and the NL West divisions. Those are coming up. We'll probably record those early, and then those will come out to you very, very soon. Because, like Toby mentioned, the spring training season is winding to a close. Right?
Yep.
Wild. And we got opening day. I don't know what it is for the Dodgers and Cubs, but
It's like was it Friday?
yeah, something
It's
like
like the
that.
15th,
I'm
19th, something like that. Something weird.
Yeah, and I am a little disappointed with whoever makes the schedule. Cardinals opening day, I was thinking about it. It's against the Twins. I just don't just give me someone in the division. It doesn't need to be Cardinals
Yeah.
Cubs. Just give me Cardinals Pirates. I don't get Cardinals
Yeah.
Reds. Give me a division that should almost every single team should be that way. And if they're not, it should almost be like the if it's going to be a interleague, it should be like the Twins and the Guardians. Like give me a
Yeah.
city like a state thing. Don't do this. It's frustrating.
Hmm. Yeah. That's weird.
So anyway, Tubby, anything else before we sign off?
I don't think
That's it.
so.
Let's go baseball. Baseball. Also, we have
Baseball.
the UFL or AFL, whatever it's called these days. It's about to start.
Mhm. Yeah, I think so. I'm not quite sure.
We won't really be covering that, but we are going to continue to cover all the baseball stuff. So make sure that you subscribe to the show if you haven't already. Share it with someone brand new. We're looking forward to continue to break down all things baseball. We can't wait to do that with y'all. But till then, we'll see y'all next time.
See ya.